Interface Video, in cooperation with Fairfield Federal, presents Fairfield Today. Brought to you by Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan, Fairfield Medical Center, Fair Hope Hospice and Palliative Care, the Frankie Smith Funeral Home, Fairfield County Adam H., Dagger Law, and the Fairfield County Board of Developmental Disabilities.
Hello friends, and welcome to Fairfield Today. I'm Paul Jasson. Thank you for joining us. We're glad you're here today. As we move into this Christmas season, what an exciting time of the year it is for all of us around here in Lancaster and Fairfield County, and we'll try to keep you apprised. There are tons of cancellations going on with businesses and groups around. There's not like a normal Christmas. I'm sure that's no shock to anybody that's been around. You understand that. But we'll try to keep you apprised of what's going on and try to let you in on some good interviews with folks. Our second half of the show today is our nonprofit half hour. This is a couple organizations that do a lot here in Lancaster and Fairfield County. Second half of the show, we'll have Jonathan Hanks on. Jonathan is the Executive Director of Maywood Mission, and they have their big Christmas giveaway coming up here shortly. We'll talk to Jonathan about that the second half. First half of the show, we'll begin with another, I only get her on about once or twice a year. She's very busy, hard to schedule. We feel honored that she joined us for this half hour today. Susan Nixon, Director of the Lighthouse. Susan, so lovely to see you.
Well, it's nice to see you. Thank you for having me.
Good to have you on today. And I always talk about, there isn't anybody since we started, we took a couple months off like everybody did, but since we've come back there, I don't think there's one show I've done that the guest and their business or organization hasn't been impacted by COVID-19, and I'll guarantee you that's a big part of your world now.
Well, I will tell you that, you hear a lot of people talking about essential workers. Mm-hmm. You don't hear them mentioning that shelters have to remain open, right? We don't get to close.
Sure.
Domestic violence doesn't take a holiday, but it has impacted our numbers. Our fiscal year ends June 30th, and we are down 31%, the number of clients that we've had in shelter. And it's understandable. So we theorize that people picture our shelter as one big open room with a bunch of beds.
Be like a college dorm or an army barracks.
Or even some homeless shelters, okay?
Oh, okay.
But we're not. And one lady summed it up best when she said, do I stay with a monster I know, or do I come to the monster I don't know? Because she was fearful of her children and herself being diagnosed with COVID. Just the fear of the unknown.
And I would guarantee, or at least I would guess here, not guarantee, you can tell me, that you'd put your place among the cleanest in Fairfield County.
Well, we are following CDC recommendations right now, and we are constantly cleaning. Anybody that calls me and says, what do you currently need? I say Lysol or Clorox wipes, gallons of bleach. And Pine Sol specifically because it kills 98% of all germs.
Sure.
But we do. If we've had children, for instance, in the group room playing, they go out and they sanitize the toys they were playing with.
Sure.
At a minimum, it's recommended every 2 hours. My staff, and we have very few, they're constantly cleaning to make sure that everybody's safe. And I will tell you, since March, we have had 0 cases of COVID.
Sure.
We're constantly checking temperatures. If I walk in the shelter and walk out to a meeting and I come back in, I'm checked every time. And it's just that way, because that's the only chance we have to keep it out of the shelter. But, like I said, I want to circle back to the fact that my team, counting me, there are 14 employees.
Okay.
That shelter's open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. 4 of those employees are employed full-time through common pleas and municipal court. That takes us down to 10.
Yeah.
Take me out of the loop, we're down to 9.
Yeah.
We have a caseworker who her job's not to be a house manager, takes us down to 8, and a part-time child care provider takes us down to 7. So we have no depth. We have house managers there 8 to 4, 4 to midnight, midnight to 8, and I have to make sure that they're healthy. We have to do everything we can to protect them so that they can be there to protect the clients that need us.
Sounds very much like these people are committed to your program, to what you do.
So running a 24-hour-a-day operation, you talk to people at odd hours. And my lead house manager and I were on the phone with each other at 4 o'clock this morning. And one of the conversations that we had was specifically about the current team that we have, their level of dedication, their level of gratitude just for, and it's, I feel like I owe them, but to see them really step up and do for our clients, everybody melts with kiddos. It's something to behold, and I don't take it lightly that we have a very strong team, and I'm abundantly blessed.
Most nonprofits, anybody we talk to around here is reliant so much on grants, on funding, on things that come to them. Certainly personal contributions, like you say, people give, they give generously as they can, we understand that, but has your pool of money dried up?
So in September, I was notified for a grant year that runs October 1 through September 30th that we were reduced over $65,000, which was effectively 5 part-time positions, if you really want to look at it and do the math. A lot of people watching today may have read something in the paper about the Victims of Crime Act, also known as VOCA. The funding was severely slashed, and every agency received between a 35 and a 40% reduction. It hurt us. It hurt us tremendously. But, I have faith. On the positive side, I didn't put all of my eggs in the VOCA basket. Did apply to grants that we weren't currently receiving before, and they are starting to come through. We have a very generous donor who yesterday, one of my unpaid court victims advocate positions, they're paying the lion's share of that position because of it being cut through the grant. So it's just really being able to get out there, you having me on and being able to share with viewers that, it really does take the community to come together. And it's that dirty little secret nobody wants to think about. But domestic violence happens all the time, and it's not just women. Because we have 6 individual units, we're able to take men. So it's just people really thinking outside of the box and knowing that between Columbus and Athens, we're the only domestic violence shelter.
Really?
Between Circleville and Zanesville, we're it.
Focal
so
point.
Not every county has a domestic violence shelter, and we're working very hard to make sure that Fairfield County is able to keep theirs.
Would it be your hope then that every county should have a violence shelter?
I think in the past,
how many are there in the state, do you know?
Over 70.
But not in every county?
Not in every county, no. Funding is tough.
Yeah.
And I will tell you that since the start of COVID, literally my job has become grant writing.
Yeah.
That has paid off.
It's always all about the money.
It is. We recently were able to replace all the windows in the shelter, and that was paid for through a grant. So, there are a lot of things that we've been able to do to update the shelter that truly we couldn't have ever done on our own nickel, but being able to write the grants and get those. Fairfield County Foundation, extremely supportive. So we're blessed.
Susan Nixon Stoughton is our guest. She's the director of the Lighthouse, and I was looking at some of the things you list as things you do: emergency shelter, counseling services, trauma counseling for vets. That's something I wasn't aware of. Case management, protection orders, and we talked about advocacy. All those things are impacted.
Well, and I will tell you that we are in the process of updating our website. We refer folks out for counseling. We are able to secure that.
Yeah.
But we now, in the past, we employed our own counselors, but because of funding, you'll remember when I was here a couple of years ago, it was the lowest point in my professional career when I had to close my counseling department.
Yeah.
November 14th, 2018, and I'll never, ever forget it.
You know how important that was.
But we had to make the decision.
Yeah.
The board and I talked. We either all go down or we begin referring clients out, which is how they used to do it in the past, in order to save the shelter.
We've got a pretty special moment coming up here. We've got a very special video, that interface video, and Bob Campetti did for your Lighthouse for United Way. Tell us what we're going to see.
Well, this is just from one client's perspective.
One person.
One person agreed to sit down and share her story. And she is a woman that from the time she hit the doors of the shelter, she was head down and she was going to make her life better. And never missed a day of work. Her kids never missed a day of school while she was in the shelter. And with everything they'd been through, that's pretty remarkable. And it ties back to, just where we try to get the message out to talk to people about what it is that we do. I can sit here and talk till I'm blue in the face, but I just really invite your viewers to please listen to Mary's perspective.
Meet Mary, who made a life-changing decision by reaching out to the Lighthouse during her time of need.
I couldn't eat. I went to bed every night crying. Every night. You don't have to live in abuse. You don't have to give up, because there's always, always help. I called and they talked to me and they asked me what was going on, and then, they told me they had a spot for me and my kids, and it was like a stack of bricks off of my shoulders, because I knew that it was going to be okay. Once I got in there, it was like, you're okay. No one is going to get to you. Nobody's going to hurt you. It is just going to happen. It was like you had someone to talk to 24/7 all the time. And everything that you could possibly imagine was right there. I mean, I was able to get a 3-bedroom home for me and my kids. And I remained working through all that. So I got to save, the money for me working, because when you're in there, they take care of you. You don't have to spend a dime. They do everything. They provide you with food, counselors. I mean, they help me out. They help me out with my car. And it was just amazing. I just love each and every one of them in there. They saved my life. They did. I have no doubt. I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for them.
Such a powerful video. You were not kidding. That really says it all.
Mm-hmm. We bring clients in, and it's hard. Even though it's great, they've secured permanent housing, they've made some great choices for their future, it's really hard to see them leave. In her case, it's nice. I pull into Walgreens and she may be going out to her car or the grocery store. It's just nice to be able to continue to see them do well. And at the end of the day, that's all we want to do. We want to make sure that when they first arrive, they're so timid and there's a lot going on. But to see them spend, it might be 30 days with us, it might be 90 days with us, it all depends. To see them thrive, that's when you know that you've got an incredible team that truly is looking out for the best interest of every client.
Everybody likes to celebrate a win.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Susan Nixon Stoughton with the Lighthouse today, and again, a powerful video that we just saw that really explains much of more than probably we could just go back and forth here. So Susan, thanks for joining us. Good luck with continued difficult times in COVID and funding. You're doing the Lord's work down there, so keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Sure.
Have a Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Thank you. And we'll be back on Fairfield Today.
The Frankie Smith Funeral Home and Crematory in Lancaster and the Johnson Smith Funeral Home in Baltimore have a long and wonderful history of serving our community. Feel free to give us a call at 740-653-0652. Stop in and see us at either of our two locations, 405 North Columbus Street in Lancaster and 207 South Main Street in Baltimore. Respect for tradition, regard for change.
Dagger Law has been part of the Lancaster community for more than 110 years. This is where we live and work. You'll see us at festivals, sporting events, and all around town. We consider our clients as friends, and we walk alongside you through challenging times. Whether you're a growing business, a changing family, facing litigation, planning your future, or dealing with land issues, we're right here. We are local. We are trusted. We are experienced. Dagger Law.
Fairfield Medical goes the extra mile to give attention to their patients, to their guests, anybody that comes within those doors.
There's no question that the staff there are all personally invested in seeing that I got the best care possible.
The staff was so comforting. I felt like she was in the best hands.
They basically gave me a second chance at life, and I'm going to make the most of it.
Fairfield Federal. When it comes to our customers and our community, we go above and beyond to help. Our people make the difference.
We were retiring from Tucson, Arizona, and we made a retirement trip out around Ohio, having decided that's where we wanted to be. And we came across this town called Lancaster, and we fell in love with the downtown area, where the fountain is, and the memorials, and the flags, and all the stuff. And I looked around and I said, there's our bank right there.
There's something to be said about a community bank in your hometown.
Right. If you live in the community, you should do business in the community as much as possible. So it makes sense to bank with the community bank where you live.
Fairfield Federal is the bank to be at. If you live in this town, or any town actually, you want to bank at a local home bank. And the employees are happy here, they're conversant, customer service is through the roof. There's nothing more you could ask for.
Personal or business banking, whatever you need, we take it seriously because we know you do. Stop by today at any of our 3 locations and see why the difference is clear. Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan specializes in banking that revolves around you.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Welcome back to Fairfield Today. Appreciate Susan Nixon Stoughton being on to talk about all the things the Lighthouse does. Interesting show, and we're going to continue kind of in this nonprofit area as I told you before. First of all, I want to thank the good people here at Fairfield Federal celebrating kind of a pared down and a difficult time as everybody is, but of course it's their quasquicentennial 125 years of banking that revolves around you. Go on their website, fairfieldfederal.com. They've got a lot of information on there about their hours. Things are changed now with the kind of uptick in the virus, so just let us know how that works for you if you go on fairfieldfederal.com. We think it's a good website. You can get a lot of information about the bank. We talked about Maywood Mission being our next position right here, and it is, and we appreciate the Executive Director of the Mission, Jonathan Hanks, being on with us. Jonathan, welcome.
Hey, good morning.
Seemed like just a month ago maybe I saw you.
Yeah, if it was even that long.
Maybe not. Yeah. Busy time of the year. This last quarter is as if every day isn't a busy time of the year at Maywood Mission with all the arms and tentacles you've got going on reaching out to the community. But you had the most recently, a while back, you had the Thanksgiving giveaway, and we talked about that, and did it meet your expectation?
Yes, and it went very smoothly, and the community just poured out this year. I think because everybody was sensitive to COVID. We had 2 different people give a total of 100 turkeys that we weren't even expecting.
Oh my.
So that was a tremendous help, and we had the assembly line going as always, and had no hiccups, and moved it through in 3 days. So again, served about little over 200 families.
Nice.
And the average family of about 5, so that's about 1,000 people served.
And now we're coming up on the Christmas giveaway here in another week or so, and people can still qualify going through 211 or going to your location on South Broad.
Yeah, at this point, it's probably best if they go to directly to Maywood Mission.
Okay.
And they can fill out the application there or take it home, but this will be about the last week to get those in. Mm-hmm. And but don't ever hesitate to call us if we can squeak somebody in. We've done it right up until the last day if we have to.
And I would guess, and we'll talk a little bit about that, about how this COVID has affected you in about everything from daycare to the thrift stop to the medical thing you run down there, it's affected you in unbelievable ways. But I would imagine for a giveaway where people are lined up to get things, a lot of protocols in place.
Yeah, a lot of new protocols, and we are figuring it all out today and tomorrow. The big thing we're going to have to do is probably have people wait in their cars versus inside the church.
Cold weather, rougher time.
Yeah, well, we just can't have that many people sitting in and that close in line, and so we've got to control that. We're going to start making calls today and actually set up appointments for people to come.
Just like going to a doctor's office. When you arrive, call, what are you in? I'm in a white Nissan, blah, blah,
exactly.
blah. Yeah.
And we'll be standing out in the parking lot taking information. So it's going to, it will be different than any other year, but this year is different than any other year.
I was going to say, well, stand in line for that one.
Exactly.
Is your expectation then, you indicated that it was a little higher for Thanksgiving than it has been in the past. Is that the expectation for Christmas also?
Everything we're getting in terms of the flow of applications right now seems like we'll be about what we were last year, about 350 applications. And those applications basically become adopted either by families or organizations or individuals who say we want to adopt families. Whoever's not adopted by whatever application is not adopted by an individual or business, then Maywood Mission basically adopts them. And then those people come into Maywood Mission and shop. This is going to be the first year we have used the store actually as where they will shop. It used to be done in the basement of the church. This year we're going to close the store down for an entire week and make it the store a true shopping experience for the people walking
Secret
through.
Santa.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're kind of excited about that.
So again, it's just no telling, I guess, this year the changes that you've made up to this point, and still now going forward the changes that you still have to make. I mean, it's a different world right now.
Yeah, and some will probably be on the fly the first day, figuring out what quite isn't working and working. So, but that's what everybody's having to do, call audibles along the way.
Yeah. The only thing that remains constant is change.
Yes. Yes.
We'll get to this again, but if somebody still needs to get their name in the hopper, you certainly accept donations, we're certain of that. But if somebody wanted to get their name in the hopper as to be a needy situation where they need either food and or clothing, perhaps best now at this last week as we move into that, maybe to just call up the mission.
Absolutely.
And your number.
Yep, and if we need to, we can scan and email them an application.
Sure.
Or if we need to, even bring it. When it gets down to this time, we're trying to not say no to anybody.
Sure. Yeah. So what's the phone number they'd call down there?
The phone number is 740-653-4458. 740-653-4458.
Jonathan Hanks with me. Jonathan is the Executive Director of the Maywood Mission. And again, we talked about so many things. You've already mentioned the thrift shop and the By the Way clinic that you have down there. I think a big thing that people are aware of that the mission does is the daycare, and certainly unbelievable changes in how the daycare is run now. Still going on, but it's a different world.
Yes, and we really feel like we have two sections now. Preschool, the basic service that we've always provided, but now what we're calling remote learning. And we have two classrooms set up. Everybody comes in with their Chromebooks, and we're helping kids log in. We're helping them find their Zoom meetings. We're helping them with the technology. Maywood Mission actually upgraded to their technology just to be able to handle this. And
I was going to mention that you have like a whole new system now down there just because of all this.
Yeah, and you just walk in and you just go, this does not look anything like it did 3 months ago. But it has been a huge blessing to parents and the kids and our staff even, just to be able to know the stress we're taking off of parents and the children in helping them navigate this, what is very intense stress for these children, trying to figure out how to get it done in a way they've never had to before.
And I've talked to Steve Wigton, who is the superintendent of the Lancaster City Schools, about this. Of course, this is Zoom learning. That's a full-time thing now with the schools. Either, well, with Lancaster, I think they call it not a hybrid, but it's one day on, one day off, and it's doing that. In your opinion, when you watch your staff down there work with the kids and they line up their students with the teachers, you think the kids are anxious and looking forward to this learning time for them on a Zoom call?
I think they have become that way because of what we've done, but initially it was just, you could see the stress the minute they sat down in the chair. And what has really helped is Ohio Christian University partnered with us. Their education department over there has been sending as many as 30 of their students.
Oh my.
2 to 3 a day. And so they're sitting with our students and helping
mentoring them.
Yeah, mentoring them and working through. And so that has just made...
So big shout out and a thank you to Ohio Christian University.
Yes, and they have said they'll stick with us as long as this goes on.
Now, did they just offer their services, or did you get the word out there that we need help?
Kathy Barthelmess, who thought of it just out of the blue, she just thought, you know what, I'm going to call, these kids could use some extra hands, this may be a win-win, and she had an epiphany that day because she made the call and it just happened within a week.
And let's talk about Kathy for a moment. 6 months ago she was not in the picture. Maybe even 4 months ago she wasn't in the picture, but through a system that neither of us perhaps can account for, she's ended up being was the head of the daycare situation down there, and now she makes a call on that. But it's interesting. I guess there are no accidents that happen and things like that. There's a big plan here somewhere.
Yes. When you see Kathy working there, you know that there was some orchestration from God going on.
Bigger powers than us.
Yes.
I know
her experience there.
I know you've been so appreciative of what she's brought.
Yes. Brittany was on maternity leave for 6 weeks, and I would have been stuck there trying to open up a remote learning, and for her to just step into that with all of her experience was nothing short of God's miracle.
And your girl Brittany, who headed that up for a short time, was gone back now with child and everybody well?
Yes, everybody's well, and so she's able to focus on the daycare part. Kathy's focused on the remote part, and so we've gotten through it better than I could have ever imagined.
When you look back on these past, 6-8 months now, it seemed like it's been 5 years, I'm sure, to sometimes to you who are on the front lines in doing this. Your staff has been, I know, we just had Susan Nixon and talked about her staff at the Lighthouse, how incredible they've been. Your staff has had to be so flexible and work and just figure out a way to go through this.
Yeah, because our volunteers have, and rightfully so, just probably been cut by 75% because a lot of them are retired people and they're in that mix of people who are concerned about their health. And so our staff has had to pick up a whole lot more just because of a decrease in volunteerism. So yeah, I'm so proud and thankful and happy to work with all of them. And the community has at the same time really jumped in financially. I think there was a sense of we can't volunteer, so let us give it another way. So the community's just poured out on us.
And we've talked about that before, about nonprofits in your kind of nonprofit where you're really helping the community like this. Lancaster and Fairfield County, it never fails that in your world, certainly the community always steps up.
Yes, I couldn't say anything less than that. And this being my first time as a nonprofit CEO or director, I didn't realize how generous this community was until I stepped into this position, and we are blessed.
So December 14th, is that the day of the giveaway?
15th and 16th.
So 14, 15, 16, so very close, another week away yet. So the best way now, if anybody knows, even if you know someone who might be able to use these services in terms of food or clothing, the giveaway, they kind of do it all this time of year at Maywood Mission. They can go through 211, but perhaps the best way and most expeditious way would be perhaps to give Maywood Mission a call.
Yep,
get through there.
Stop by or call.
And you'll work it out even at the last minute. Don't hesitate to call.
Yeah.
You can't do anything but gain if you give them a call, right?
Yep. 740-653-4458.
Jonathan Hanks, Director of the Maywood Mission down there. Have a Merry Christmas. We
Thanks,
hope everything
Paul.
goes well for that. We hope it's going to be a great year and perhaps a different year from 2020.
Yeah.
Everybody's ready to move on this year.
Yep.
Everybody's ready. Yeah.
Thank you, Paul.
So good luck in 2021.
Thanks for having us.
And that's our show on Fairfield Today.
Interface Video, in cooperation with Fairfield Federal, presents Fairfield Today. Brought to you by Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan, Fairfield Medical Center, Fair Hope Hospice and Palliative Care, the Frankie Smith Funeral Home, Fairfield County Adam H., Dagger Law, and the Fairfield County Board of Developmental Disabilities.